now be seeing my desktop, and I just want to open up a couple of photos. Just give me a moment here. Here we go. There's the two maps here. Now what you're looking at here is the driving route, which is on the left where my cursor is, and the actual walking route on the right. So I don't know how well you can see it, but because there are some spots you can't get to, of course, because it's in private land. But our idea of this was to follow the track as close as practical, camp as close as practical to actual campsites. And so this driving route is pretty close to where we went. An example here, like between Menindee and Matawinji, you can't drive through there. So we detoured to Broken Hill. We stayed there for 3 days because we hadn't really been to Broken Hill anyway. And as we travel up here at Tibooburra, and we went this way to Nakundra, not through Thargomindah, and the track is actually sort of in the middle there. It doesn't make much difference. Over here, Inaminka, that's Walker's Crossing. Okay, now we couldn't travel through Walker's Crossing because of flooding. Now we'd already done that at a previous time in any case, so it didn't overly matter. So we had to detour via Batuta and back to Birdsville. And then once again, just followed this up here. Now the track goes through the middle here. We didn't go to Mount Isa. We went this way to Cloncurry, which is actually closer to the track, but not, the road's not as good, and then followed it all the way up there. So that's sort of the driving, and that's the walking route. You can see it's fairly close. Now, when I'm going through this, I'll talk about camp numbers. The camp numbers don't refer to days, okay? Because there are some locations like Swan Hill. They had a civic reception at Swan Hill, and they were there for a number of days, you know. But it's one camp number. So their camp numbers don't relate to the number of days in their journey. Yes. No, Tracy said something to me, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear what she said.
But often one camp did equate to one.
Yeah, that's right. Often one camp further up, certainly one camp related to one thing. Now, the other thing I'll just show you quickly here is this painting. I've just got some historical information in which I'll just read to you. This is about to start. What they were trying to do, they were trying to become the first white men to travel from south to north across Australia. And there was a prize by the South Australian government to be the first to do so. Okay, and I don't know what the prize was, but there was a prize. And so Sturt obviously was trying to do it as well. Now they left on the 20th of August 1860, and they had a very slow start because they didn't have enough wagons contracted by the Exploration Committee. So they hired another 3 to help carry the 20 tonnes of equipment, intending to use them as far as Swan Hill. 18 people, 25 camels, 22 horses and some wagons. Burke took 2 years' supply of food, as well as 80 pairs of shoes, beds, hats and buckets, as well as some firewood. And I believe he even took his desk, believe it or not. Now, because of the late start, Camp 1 was only Moonee Ponds, 6 k's up the road. And that was the first of 119 camps. Bulla Camp, they didn't do much better. Camp 2, sorry, they only got to Bulla. They didn't do much better at all. Our first camp, because we had a slow start, was Lancefield, which was VEE Camp 4. Now, when I say VEE Camp 4, VEE is the Victorian Exploring Expedition. That was their official party, if you like, but everyone knows them as burke&wills. So I was going to start off. It was very hard to find the first monument, because the first monument is actually in Royal Park in Parkville. And of course, I'm travelling here with a camper trailer, which you'll see very shortly. And that's actually the first monument. A bit hard to find. Probably some people have been there. What percentage of dirt versus bitumen from Brian?
As much dirt as we could find.
Yeah, much dirt as we could find. There was actually quite a bit of dirt even in Victoria following the trial. So there was quite a bit of dirt. There was quite a bit of dirt.
About staying close to the track.
Yeah, it was more about staying close to the track. I don't know about percentage. I'd have to think about that one, Brian. So that's the first monument we came across, and 6 k's up the road, the first camp. And see Wednesday's making an appearance already. Is Mooney Ponds at Queen's Park. So probably many people have seen that. Just some shots of that area. Now we're going to jump forward a bit now. I'm going to play a video which will take us from VEE camp number 6, which is Mia, to Swan Hill. I'll have a look at this and it will explain some of what we went through when we were travelling through Victoria.
I offered and you said, don't need the big broom.
Day 2, the horses, the camels and 6 wagons went on together. Day 3, it came down in torrents. No tea, no fire, we slept in the wet. Day 6, arrived at the Mia, which is here. Day 7, a day of rest. A great many visitors from Mackayba and other places. To look at the caravan, the landlord of the inn had a good day. Diary of Ludwig Becker, naturalist, Victorian exploration expedition.
This is camp number 7, the old Matheson's Hotel. It's now private residence. The owners are fascinated by what's written about their house in the book that we're following, so they've come out to have a chat.
A little crisscross of roads, keeping us as close as possible on the actual track itself. Right, we've done a U-turn because we've missed this little tiny track that's a cut through onto one of the roads. Barely looks used, but we're just going to take it and see if it gets us to where we want to go. Looks like it's been used, but not very much. This is part of the Elmore Minto Road, dry weather only road. I think we just fall into that category. Still pretty muddy.
Well, here we are, Tracy, at Camp 10 on the Burke and Wills Trail. We have 109 camps to go and we are running behind schedule just like they were with a slow start.
Yes.
Mount Hope Station, Burke and Wills Camp number 11, the 1st of September 1860. Yay! Yay!
Just had a nice slider out. A little bit better now, but very soft and muddy. We're southeast of Kerrang at the moment.
This is the Burke and Wills Clump, campsite number 14, 16 days out of Melbourne. Just off the main road.
About looking for stuff in the dark. Pretty with the tree.
Okay, so we're now at Swan Hill, which is, I said there, VE Camp number 15. Just some historical info. It took all day for them to cross the Murray River on a punt. So when they got everyone across, Camp 16 was across the other side of the river. They were charged, wagons were 15 shillings each, which was the usual rate, and the camels and horses, 2 shillings, which was a big 6pence discount on the usual cost. So there you go. Now, as we travel up the road a bit more, there's a nice little place called Kyalite, which I'll just show you. A couple of quick photos here. Now, there's another area they crossed the Warcool River. So it's a different river to the Murray. They're further north now. That's the spot. Of course, they didn't have a concrete slip rail then. And that's the pub. Now, the reason I'm showing you that is that pub was actually there at the time. So they actually ate in the pub at lunchtime. So, you know, they were pretty well looked after as they were going where there was population. It was a big thing. You know, everyone welcomed them. Yeah, so that's a nice little spot to travel if you happen to be there, by the way. Nice spot to go. Now, you notice the last video there's a lot of talking about what we're looking at and explaining things. It didn't always go so smoothly, by the way.
We're just near Camp 21, according to the GPS coordinates, just southeast of Lake Pega.
Peka.
Peka. And we're just southeast of Lake Pega.
Peka.
Peka. Which is just southeast of Lake Peka. Did I get it wrong again?
No, I was just saying you sounded like Peka.
Oh, yeah, mate. We're just at which is just southeast of Lake. We're at Camp 21.
You said like Pega.
No.
You said Pega. It's like
What is it? I said it right. Lake Pega.
What?
Lake Pega.
That's not like Pega. It's like P-A-I-K.
Oh, P-I-K-A.
No, P-A-I-K for car. Hey.
P-I-K-A.
No, P-A-I-K-A.
Which is pronounced Peka.
I don't know about you, but I'm giggling away there every time I see that.
Message from Frank.
The message from Frank, but early in the morning to be drinking. Yeah, good on you, Frank. Yes, well, you know. Yeah, lots of fun, you know. I didn't shoot the video with a view to doing this, by the way, but it was just for my own edification, really. But anyway, as you just saw with that, sometimes not only did the video not go well, sometimes the driving also, we had issues.
So we've just turned into the Arumpo ruins, but we're actually bogged in a very soft, muddy spot.
This is the Arumpel Station ruins, which was Camp 27. It was it's a little bit off the main road, and we had to drive through some very soft stuff that we didn't notice, and it took me a little while to back out, but managed to back out okay, although did get some mud sprayed around, as you can see. Trailer's not too bad.
This is a good time to bring up about travelling by yourself. And, you know, obviously we had the normal recovery gear. People who will know us know we do that. But, you know, there's no point in winching myself forward, because it probably just would have been more, you know, would have made it worse. I had tracks and more, whatever. But at the time I was fairly confident I could get out. I was sort of making a firmer base underneath, and I managed to work. But, yeah, that's just a good spot if you're travelling by yourself. Someone behind me, it would have been easy if I had someone travelling with me, because the back of my camper trailer has recovery points as well. Yes, I do need a car wash, Toby. Thank you for that. And it did get a one a little bit further up the track, but we'll see about that as we go. So anyway, we travelled on from there. Balranald, VE Camp 20 was our next one. The night after that, Punkari, which is VE Camp 30. And there on to Menindee. Now, Menindee is worthwhile showing you some photos of Menindee. Of course, a little bit of history there with Menindee. That's the Menindee Maidens Hotel. Now, they ate there as well. And there we are there with Wednesday making an appearance near the burke&wills sign. This is a Dost Muhammad grave. He was a burke&wills cameleer, and ended up making his life in Menindee as a baker, apparently. But yes, it was just an interesting story. Now, there's a photo of some of the camels in Menindee. And this is Pamamaru Base Camp. Now, that was occupied for nearly 16 months. And the reason it was a base camp was that it was close to the river for supplies. And Darling River had water in it then, of course. And also, it was really the last sort of civilization, if you like, before entering the outback more, the way they were going. So that's why it was used as a base camp. And sorry, yeah, that sign there, if you can read it, it says that we camped at this depot from the 19th of October to the 24th of January. It was later on used, by the way, by Howard as a base camp as well. For he was one of the people in search of burke&wills on a rescue mission. So that's that. From there, we spent 3 nights in Broken Hill, and then rejoined the camp at Menindee. Now, Menindee is a lovely spot to camp. Sorry, yeah, Mutawinji. My apologies. I said Menindee, I meant Mutawinji. They both start with them. So we rejoined the track after 3 nights in Broken Hill and spent 2 nights in Mutawinji, which is Camp 40, as I said. Now, the reason I'm showing you this sign here about William Wright, the Kinchiga station manager at Menindee, was sent out for some support group for the ill-fated burke&wills. He visited Mutawinji, spelt incorrectly, by the way. That's not how you spell it. And he left some blue triangles in this area here, which also happens to be where there's Aboriginal paintings. So he just put marks over there, you know, little respect for the Aborigines at that point in time. That one's a bit blurry, unfortunately, but it gives you an idea about what happened. And that's actually our campsite at Mutawinji. A lovely spot. We had a great night there, you know, campfire and cooked on the fire and all that sort of stuff. And then overnight, it started to rain
Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a day that I could give you, I'd give to you a day just like today. If I had a song that I could sing for you, I'd sing a song to make you feel this way.
So there you go. So that actually changed our plans at that point in time, because we had a look at an information centre near the start of Mutawinji, and we looked at I don't know how well you can see that, but that's a road closure sign that the park rangers have posted and put up there. And some of the roads here that are closed due to rain were roads that we were actually going to travel. Because of our contact that we'd made previously with the Shire officers, or Tracy in particular, by contacting them, we knew that there was more rain coming. That video you saw was in the afternoon. The rain had pretty well stopped by then, but so we had a spell to get out, and they actually advised us to get out because there was more rain coming, and if we hadn't have got out, we would have been stuck there for a week because all the roads would have been closed, even getting to Mutawinji. So what we did there was we hightailed it back to Broken Hill, and then from Broken Hill do the rest of our trip, which isn't included in this, but we joined the burke&wills trail at the top at 119, and then made it all the way back down to 40 at Mutawinji. So we just did it in reverse, okay? But for the video purpose here, we're going to keep going, and the story purpose, we're going to keep it logical and keep going forward as they did, heading north. Okay, so if you see a bit of video and it looks like it's going backwards, it probably is because it is probably going backwards. But we're going to continue going north. Hope that makes sense to everybody. Yeah, that was onwards and upwards. We went. Tibbarara was the next stop, the Camp 47. After that, Nakundra, which is the Camp 55. Nice little spot, Nakundra, if you haven't been there. I'm probably plenty of people have, but I'll just show you a couple little photos of that area. That's sort of typical sort of scenery around the area. Nakundra Hotel, which is nice to eat at, by the way. Our campsite, again, next to the river. And as we go forward a little bit further, we're heading towards the Dig Tree now. And as we go towards the Dig Tree, we do cross over the burke&wills Bridge. So I'm just showing you this because it's Burke&wills. There's a monument there, Wednesday that again, and that's actually the Burke&wills Bridge, which is east of the Dig Tree, by the way. So I just get my information here. So just before I go on to the next little thing to show you, just a little bit of information to read out. Burke had previously let some of his men at Menindee or Pamamaru, I discussed earlier, and went on to others to Cooper Creek, where he established a base camp, another one, at the site of what became the Dig Tree. Now, Burke's plan was to wait at Cooper Creek until the others arrived, but 5 weeks passed and they did not arrive. So he decided to set out with Wills, King, and Charles Gray, with 1 horse and 6 camels and supplies to last for 3 months. He ordered the other 4 men to remain at Cooper Creek with William Bray in charge and wait there for 3 months for their return. Well, that's just a little bit of history. And now, like historically, of course, the Dig Tree is mainly relevant to Burke and Will's return, because everyone knows about, well, some people know about what happened, which I'll cover in a minute. Anyway, was a base camp also when they were travelling north. But as you pass the area, travelling from south to north, that's the next thing to show you. I did take just a little bit of short video here of that, and some interesting points come out of it. I just load that.
The Digtree Historical Reserve. This is the site of the Burke and Wills Expedition Depot Camp 65, from which Burke, Wills, King and Grey journeyed to the Gulf of Carpentaria in 1861. The depot party remained at this camp for 17 weeks and returned to the Darling River after burying supplies near the Digtree. Burke, Wills and King returned to this depot during the evening of the day that the depot party departed. Burke and Wills both perished some weeks later near Inaminka. The three blazes on the Digtree were BLXV on the Trunk Creek side, Dig 3 feet northwest on Trunk Land side, and December 6, 60 to April 21, 61 on Limb upstream. There remains some uncertainty about the Dig inscription. The depot party and King recalled the distance as 3 feet, while the early settlers recorded as 40 feet. This is the location of Bray's Stockade. It was slowly destroyed by floods, so in 2011 researchers from the Burke and Wills Historical Society used some historical photos and they did a site survey to locate the site of the stockade. So they've put 4 posts, one on each corner, to mark it.
And that's pretty well directly behind the tree that Bray has marked as Camp 65. Under the carving likeness of Burke in the faith tree is the carvings that's R next to the O there, which you can't quite see. And the camera anyway, ROHB. I believe that's Bray's tree with the camp date in it, and the tree to the right is the original Dig tree with the inscription Dig no longer visible.
As we go on again, we're moving fairly quickly now through it, which is good. The page is here, yeah. Historically, Burke's death monument is also relevant to the return journey, obviously. But once again, as we pass it on the way, heading north, here we go.
We're in Inaminka. You're funny. Tracy's gone crazy. Tracy's decided she wanted to hang around in Inaminka for have a lay day. And Tracy's killing mozzies. And making something here. What are you making here, Tracy?
I'm making coconut roti.
Coconut roti.
To have with our beef curry casserole.
Just a touch, eh? Cheers. Smells delicious.
Good.
Pity this isn't smell-o-vision. And here's a monument under the coolabah tree where he was laid. This is also close to Camp 66 when they were heading north. There's a little conjecture here as to when Burke died. On the monument over here it says the 28th of June. On the information sign just over there it says the 29th of June. In the book we're following it talks about him walking around on the 30th of June. Sunday the 30th of June. And he gave his notebook and everything to King, the survivor. King stayed with him till he died and said...
The night was very cold and Burke spoke very little. The following morning, Monday the 1st of July, King found him speechless and about 8 o'clock he expired. Well, we've gone from Sunday the 30th of June...
Correct.
...to Monday the 1st of July.
So we're not sure where the dates on the monuments came from, but according to our research, they're both incorrect. And that was because of, in here, because the diary of Wills the diary of Wills confirms that he died on the 1st of July. So both those signs there are wrong. They both got different dates on them anyway. Now, Wills died a few days later. Now, that's also incorrectly signed, by the way. That sign, it says he died on the 29th. I'm not sure he can die a few days later after Wills, after Burke, and Burke died on the 1st. Anyway, we did spend a couple of nights in Inaminka. It's a nice little spot to chill for a while. So that's the Cooper at Inaminka. It was fairly high water then. That's us crossing it. Now, apparently, 2 days after we crossed the Cooper, there it was actually closed due to flooding. So it did get worse than that. That's a little monument, a sign there. Sorry, not a monument, a sign for King, the only survivor of the whole expedition. And he survived basically because he respected the Aborigines, so they helped him, and he survived. So that is what happens, I suppose. I'm sure. Anyway, that's that, and there's the monument there of King, all around the Inaminka area. Now, as mentioned at the start, we couldn't go down Walker's Crossing, so we camped one night at Batuta, and went on to Birdsville. Now, Birdsville was VE camp number 76, although it is believed the tree, the burke&wills tree in Birdsville, was not marked by the party. Apparently it wasn't marked by the party. It was most likely marked by Towner in the 1950s. Now, Towner was someone who retraced the footsteps in the 50s. So that's what that is all about. I just got a couple of photos here to show you of Birdsville. That's the dig tree that the burke&wills tree that I just talked about. Wednesday was Thursday, trying to get into the pub. And that's the monument for burke&wills as you come in one of the entrances to Birdsville. Now, they were there in late December, by the way. So imagine how hot it was in late December. And of course, they're heading north. So it only got hotter from there. That was one of the problems with the whole thing. The heat certainly paid their toll on them. Anyway, we moved on and camped at Baduri, which is VEE camp number 82. But while we're going that way, on the way, and just a couple of nice shots here to show you in photos. So this is in between Birdsville to Boulia. And that's sort of typical sort of scenery. Our car's up there on the left, up on the road. We're just getting out and exploring the area. Now, this sandy channel, you might wonder why I'm over on the right there, looking at the William John Wills Bridge over the sandy channel. And the Burke River, of course, has the Robert O'Hara Burke Bridge. Because remember, we were looking for all these things on purpose. So that's in Boulia. More information everywhere you go, along that area there. There's information and monuments and stuff. Even little signs like that, which is just talking about where they drank. They drank water out of the river and sort of inviting you to do that and try and see what they were like in the conditions. Imagine December up in that area. It's probably January by now. Now let's move on a bit. We're going to go from camp 82 to 91 and a half.
Good morning. We're camped near burke&wills 82. It is just nothing out here at all. No other sign of human activity for quite some time. There's no signs of other people having camped here. There was a track here which sort of doesn't really lead anywhere, but just complete isolation. You must have wondered what they thought they were walking into, and you know, we've got comfort of cars and sat phones and just complete isolation. It would be fair to say there's probably very little people that have camped in this area probably since Burke&Wills.
And around about this point is where the expedition crossed, coming from the right and heading north to the left, and we're about halfway between Camp 91 and 92.
And I think we could camp just over there somewhere. What do you think?
On these trees.
On these trees, yeah. We've camped where the Burke&Wills, or close to where the Burke&Wills expedition would have crossed, pretty well in their footsteps. And we're halfway between Camp 91, which is to the south, direction the car is facing, and 92 to the north, behind the car. And we're about 70 k's approximately north of Boulia. And the sun's going down, you can tell by my shadow and the wavy shadow behind me.
So there we are, we're up to 91.5, so we're motoring along at the moment. Just a few photos here as well. Okay, that's the camp we were just at. We tried to hand at night photography. There's just some night shots in one of the camps where we're camped again by ourselves somewhere. Wednesday, getting excited. You can see one of his long lost cousins or something there. Another night shot. Now, who needs 5-star accommodation, eh? There's the 1,000,000-star accommodation right there. Anyway, just a little self-indulgence there, but yeah. Bring back memories, this is to me. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Now, we're almost up to 110. Now, we stayed 2 nights at Corella Dam, which is west of Cloncurry. And it was, we stayed there 2 nights because we spent 1 day going through the Selwyn Ranges, which they passed through. It's a lovely spot to go if you're in that area to explore around there. There's lots of things to look at in the Selwyn Ranges, so we spent an extra day to do that. This is from Cloncurry onwards. We're at Cloncurry, and this plaque, which you've seen before at some other places, is outside the information centre. In the Cloncurry Information Centre, and there is lots and lots of information here on Burke&Wills. This is a blaze tree, or what's left of the blaze tree.
Marcus tree from site of Burke&Wills Camp 102.
Right.
The Bath Camp on Corella River, 30 miles west of Cloncurry. Inscribed B&W C11 1861.
There you go. And lots of the replica of the water bottle, information on memorials in all the states, information on the route as well. So at this point here between the two rivers, which are called the
Dugald River is to the right and Corella River is to the left.
Okay, so at about 10 kilometres past this point here would be camp number 109, and about 20 kilometres virtually in the same direction would be camp 108.
20 kilometres on from 109.
Right,
Yeah.
it's as close as you can get to the camps.
And even camp 107 is probably similar direction,
Yeah.
but another maybe 25, 30 kilometres on from 108.
Yeah, that's all through private land.
Yeah. This is the Cloncurry River, the main section of it.
Oh, that's kind of across here.
We're just looking for somewhere to stay now.
Yeah, I'm moving the road, eh?
Well, we're camped near the Cloncurry River, which is just in that direction to the north. Not far. It's only a couple of k's. We've been to the river. Spoken to some workmen there on the CB radio, doing some road repairs and things. But we're just camped not far from there, which is camp 110. A couple of k's. Camp 111 is also a little bit further on to the north, basically in a straight line following the Cloncurry River. It's a lovely campsite. This is where we're camped currently. You can see we're the only ones here. It's very quiet. We've been collecting some wood to start the fire soon to make some dinner on the fire tonight. Yeah, just getting preparations there. So we're just relaxing at the moment. And Tracy over here is just doing some preparations for shopping. What else are you doing, Tracy?
Well, we've got 9 days of shopping lists to write for, because between here and pretty much Broken Hill we just have a few little supply points like in Aminka and Birdsville, but nothing too great. So supermarket in Cloncurry tomorrow, and then I will do my diary for today and finish my coffee.
Okay, so I just left that bit in there just so you can see about preparation. You need to know where to buy food from and things like that. And of course, we've only got a normal 40-litre fridge in the back of the car, so lots of space and stuff. Plenty of room for food, but we only got one fridge. So all that it takes a bit of planning to allow for all that. For 9 days, 9 days of shopping. So. But there's lots of that sort of camping on this trip where you just, get as far as you can and so forth. Now, we're almost at the top here, so there's not much more to go here, but I just will show you, this is the last video. This one is of Camp 119 and Normanton. Okay, it's not very long, but it explains a couple of things.
Well, we're at Camp 119, the most northerly camp of the ill-fated Victorian Exploration Expedition, better known as Burke&Wills Expedition. From this camp in mid-February 1861, Robert Burke and William Wills made a desperate dash to the Gulf of Carpentaria. Nearly 6 months earlier, they had left Melbourne in a blaze of publicity. Supplies were running low, wet seas and floods and high temperatures hampered them. From Burke's notebook, it would be well to say that we reached the sea, but we could not obtain a view of the open ocean, although we made every attempt or endeavour to do so. John King and Charles Gray remained at Camp 119 to mark no less than 15 trees as proof they had reached North Australia. The return journey was to prove disastrous. Only John King survived. Search parties were sent out to find the lost foursome. The blaze tree there marked by Frederick Walker was 800 millimetres above the ground. Now it is 200 millimetres above the ground, and I don't think you can read the initials anymore. And around the campsite they've put these plaques where the trees were, marked burke&wills camp blaze tree. So all the trees are now moved on to tree heaven, but they marked a number of them, and where the trees stood they've put these plaques on the ground. So the blaze trees was the way they proved that they got here.
That's where it was cut out?
Yep.
There. And this one was probably through there.
Okay. This one's a little one here.
And these ones are just remnants off.
Yep. So there were 15 of these. It just talks about the signature blazes. How different people mark them with their own way of marking to identify who they were, like Leichhardt and Wills. Are obviously different marks. Normanton Information Centre, and there's a display here in regards to burke&wills and other explorers, and a bit of history here about it all. One of the marked trees at Camp 119, which has been preserved.
So from there, that was Camp 119. We stayed 2 nights at Corumba Point. Now, Corumba Point is probably close to where they would have walked to see the ocean, or it was obviously covered, as the sign said, in mangroves. They didn't actually see it, but they did make it really. Corumba Point is there's only a few points along the Gulf where you can get a boat, access to water. Corumba Point is one of them. It's certainly a nice little spot to stay. It's very tidal. They're very peaceful. We chilled out there for a couple of nights. It was a bit hard to take, sitting there watching that at the pub, eating dinner. So that's Corumba Point. Now I'll just finish off here. There's just 2 more things to talk about. I'll just read this historical information first. It sort of ties it all up. Okay, but Burke and his party took 8 weeks to get from Cooper Creek to the Gulf. Although they reached the Gulf, they failed to see the sea because of the mud and the mangroves, I've said before. They became the first white men to cross the country from south to north. Burke began his return journey to the Cooper Creek immediately. On this journey, supplies were short, so the men killed and ate one of the camels. You're not listening, are you, Wednesday? And later Burke's horse. Charles Gray got sick and died. When they got back to the Cooper Creek, Burke, Wills and King found that the men who had been waiting for almost 3 months, remember he told them to wait, had been waiting for almost 5 months. He'd actually told them to wait for 3 months. They had gone. Some food had been left in a box near a tree with a sign carved on it saying dig. A letter inside the box indicated that William Bray, the other man, had left just 9 hours before they arrived. Wills also buried his notebook at the tree and left a note telling where the group were heading, but no one thought to make a sign at the dig tree to indicate they had been there and were still alive. This was a costly mistake because 2 of the men who had left and the others had made no sign. These men left again. King later joined the Aboriginal people, as mentioned before. It took him and looked after him. He was found a few months later on September the 15th, 1861 by other explorers. And there's only 2 more things here just to wrap this up. is I just need to mention quickly about the rescue parties. That's actually at Camp 119. There were a number of rescue parties that went out looking for them. This bit down the bottom, which you probably can't read, talks about Frederick Walker, who actually found Camp 119 in the blazes sometime after, even after King had been rescued. But a little bit closer sign there, that gives you a bit more indication of how many people went out looking for them, wondering where they were from various places. There was even this certificate I'm about to show you is issued to the crew of the HMCSS, which I don't know what that stands for, who were sent to the Gulf of Carpentaria in 1861 in search of the lost explorers Burke and Wills. And they got a nice little certificate for that from the Exploration Committee, all in nice English writing and whatever. That's a picture of the ship. So they went, there was even a boat that went out looking for them. That there is a statue of Frederick Walker. Now the significance of that is it's actually further west along the Gulf, so you don't see it actually on the trail. And to get to it's quite odd as well, because you almost drive up to someone's gate through private land, almost up to their house, through their gate, almost up to their house. You hang a left and it's on a public display, but it's on someone's private property. But he was the one who actually found the blazes and the markings of Camp 119, which proved that they had made it. So that's what that's all about. And lastly, just before I put everyone on who wants to talk or chat or whatever, is we did spend one day later on in the city. Now this is in the State Library. We spent some time looking at that. So that talks about the expedition party outside Victoria Barracks in Melbourne. So before they picked the 18 men and so forth, there was a crew of them. That's actually a photo of Victoria Barracks and the applications to go on this ill-fated journey. That's in the library. That's also in the library. That's quite a big painting. And that's a painting of his original Burke's original grave on Cooper Creek. I think they wrapped him up in the flag, or it might be when they exhumed him. I'm not 100% sure of that. But they decided to exhume him and bury him in Melbourne with a big fanfare. Now this is very interesting. They put out a £10 winning entry to design a monument. This huge granite block weighing 36 tonnes took 250 men, 40 horses, and 2 days to convey from Spencer Street Railway Station to the Melbourne Cemetery. And there's a photo of that. So they were a big deal in the time. And there it is there in all its glory, with Wednesday saying hello in the Melbourne Cemetery. Unlike King, there's King's grave, the man who made it back. He died on the 15th of January, 1872. And that is about that. I've pretty well been through the lot. So I hope it wasn't too long or whatever for people. I hope they enjoyed it. And David, if you want to put on, whoever wants to put on. It did take us 22 days, by the way, to go from Melbourne to Camp 119. And that includes 3 nights in Broken Hill, 2 nights in Corumba, and 2 nights at Corella Dam.